Okay. It's
Hi,
weekend.
Keisha.
Hi. Let me clean my phone. Hold on. All right. I was like, is this going to work? Yes, it works.
How you doing? Good Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, I'm well. How are you?
Good. It's
Good.
a nice time for a Saturday afternoon chat and poetry reading
I
with Keisha-Gaye Anderson.
Yes. Yeah. In this frigid. It's not so bad today, but yesterday was so cold.
Yeah. So we had a wonderful interview yesterday. Thank you so much. Thank you again. And your interview is definitely picking up. You've already had a number of listens, which is really great.
Great.
And I'm just very excited to see you face to face and hearing your words. We talked a great deal about your writing and your book, A Spell for Living, as well as your other works. And I think this will be a real nice treat for your followers to see you read on today. And, about 30 minutes or so, anything that you want to share and discuss with the inspiration behind your poems would be great.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can just have a free-flowing conversation and let me just make sure I'm gonna just share that this is happening. And then we could just talk while we do that.
Oh, awesome.
Just share with folks. Did you post it on your Facebook also? Let me see.
Yeah, it's in all of your promos. It says we're having I put it all together generally. And that way people get it in one snapshot.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
All right. You know, we're gonna always keep writing no matter what's going on. So
That's right. And you know what? That's what I really got out of our interview yesterday, that artists and you personally find a way to make space for your creativity, no matter what is going on. If it's important to you, then you have to make the time for it. And I really got uh, that central idea out of our interview yesterday.
oh yeah. Yeah, we have to do it. It's kind of like our work lives and just the way commerce is set up and everything. It doesn't care about your biorhythms when you need to sleep, whatever you need to do. And similarly, it just like the structure doesn't care about like whatever your unique gift is, but you have to care because you want to be happy. Even if it's like you have a hobby, people call them hobbies, but art is can be a hobby. It's not a hobby for me, but there's nothing wrong.
Right.
You got to do it, you know?
Because art and creativity is life for most of us. I mean, this is just, it goes hand in hand. And when you talked about how you have talked to like organizations or anyone you're potentially going to work with, and you let them know, hey, my art is really important to me. This is a facet of my life that I'm not willing to kind of just push aside in addition to your family. I just think that is so great. And I think more artists need to hear that. You have value. It's okay to tell people
Yeah.
you value that in your own life, because
Oh yeah.
what do they always say? You show people how to treat you,
That's right.
you know?
And and then you have to take note of their response. And that because you have to be brave enough to face like if they act funny with you, you're like, okay, it's also to give you information. As you interview for a job, you should be interviewing them to see if they deserve your talent. We
Exactly.
have to do that. So if you act funny when I say that, I'm like, okay. It's just like dating or whatever. It's like you're gonna bring your whole self and be like,
Sure.
yeah,
And let them know what they are getting.
that's right, because you
you
got
know,
one life and this thing is going too fast for my taste, but what can we do?
exactly. And so, Keisha, please do, whenever you're ready,
Okay.
I love to get into your beautiful poems from A Spell for Living, and just discussing any of the pieces if you'd like to share before or after, your inspiration for the piece, and anything else you like for us to know.
Sure, sure. So a spell for living really is they're poems in free verse. Just to let on the technical side, if people want to understand, like my writing style is free verse. It's rhythmic. I like internal rhyme. I'm not into form. I know how to write a sonnet, but it's like not my favorite thing to do. So the book is my poems and also my visual art, and there's an interplay, so that the drawings are placed strategically to kind of talk to certain poems. And the ebook, I'll just give a little background. Agape Editions, I won a competition basically. I was like a runner up in their award, their annual award. And so what they offered me, they were like, we can do this ebook. We talked, I like them because they were open. I was like, well,
Yeah.
to do this I want to do a hybrid book. And they were like, okay, that sounds good.
Wow.
Yes.
And can you explain for people who may not be familiar, what is a hybrid book?
It's just mixed art form. So it's not just poetry, it's drawings. And also, since so part of their mission as a publisher is to make great literature accessible to anyone, regardless of income. So that's the rationale behind why this ebook is free on their.
Wow.
There will be a special print edition with a different set of my art that
Oh, wow.
purchase, and that'll be like a print on demand book.
Sure.
Ingram or something.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're gonna do that later this year. But so in the book, also at the end, there are some audio poems that my friend, who's a musician, he composed some music, and the poems are set to music. So it's like an engagement of multiple senses, and I always like to do that. So that's the background. So let me, so anybody can just go right now. You can go to my homepage, the book.
And I'm going to type that in also, Keisha, and if I can, I'll just pin that here in the chat so people can see it.
Okay. Yeah. My homepage is a good entry point. It has the link to the book, and information about my other books. Right. And
Perfect.
great. So I'll read some poems and we can have a discussion.
I wonder, can I pin this? Yeah, I'm going to pin it so that way it'll stay up. Okay, great.
Great. Oh, see, I see it.
Oh, good. Yay.
All right. So let's just start. There's some social commentary, but mostly a spell for living. The idea is to remind us of our own agency. Right. So
Beautiful.
stay awake. Poor dear. You followed a firefly question down a ditch into the dark, looking for a truth a way to untangle a why, stampeding through time, an avalanche of poison turning all your names to ash, and you landed in a world of confusion, solidly cemented by collective confusion and the noisy madness of breathing bodies stacking bricks to hoard life. All the plants, the rivers, the clouds gliding by are the same swirling song. A dream we play and forget that we are weaving from the inside. Out of solutions for seeing our own faces, we keep chasing a tail and forget that we should just laugh at the shape of it all. Follow the doors to the end of the maze. Stay awake long enough never to fall again.
Wonderful. And it's perfect for this day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the kind of whimsical, the weather is, is what it is, but it kind of warms you up. The poetry warms you up from the inside.
Well, I hope so, because I just, I want people to think. And I think if more of us, let me fix this phone, if more of us did that, we'd be in a better position as a society, right? So I will read. This.
And Keisha, I just tweeted the followers on Nerdocity's podcast,
Okay, cool.
as letting them know that you are live and reading your poetry right now.
Mm-hmm.
And hopefully more folks, well, you just got some love likes there, and folks will definitely join in.
Lisa Dubois is on here. Okay, hello. All right. This is my gentrification poem. 'Cause I live in
Okay.
central Brooklyn. It's called The Purge. Fools believe we are only space warmers, place sitters, hewers of wood, diggers, builders for their benefit, for those who inherit empire, commit urban renewal, raise taxes to purge the obstinate, depreciate any evidence of your sweat as you climb up the down escalator of manufactured debt, and end up sleeping in a cardboard box, holding court with the last threads of your mind. And if you're not one of them, well, you better sing and dance so that they don't devour your babies, appropriate the life right out of you, collect your organs just to see, file that under Tuskegee. And how did they happen? I mean, what's the cause behind a disease? A crooked thought splitting into interlocking cubes, stacking themselves into a sprawl, a bundle of cells thinking itself sentient, reproducing without bearing right toward light into something useful, turning life into ash and dressing death as a marionette. When cities are erected everywhere, what of us will be left?
Hmm.
Yeah,
And I could see that. I could see it.
it's
And people have been talking about the gentrification of Brooklyn for years.
no, it's just
It's
it's a kind of, it just feels crazy. Like I know I know what it is. I know it's markets and economics and mathematical formulas and the push and a pull, and it's not everyone who was coming in was super wealthy, but the fact that we are perpetually artificially suppressed in terms of our ability to earn more means that we're always place warmers. We're just warming it up. And when it's warm enough and it's cleaned up enough, they're like, okay, you could go now.
mm,
And I wrote an essay that got published in, I forgot the name of the anthology, but there's a Jamaican food called Stamp and Go. It's like quick food. It's like a fried dough kind of thing. It's like, something you eat on the go.
yeah.
And the subheading was Life as an Urban Nomad, because I feel like the diaspora is this urban nomad experience, especially for women. You're going to go where the work is. It's usually an urban center. You're going to move around. You're going to live in the poor part until the poor part gets to be the wealthy part, and then you can't live there no more. you know. So we this has been studied. It's not my, discovery, but it's my comment on it is that it's I call it, the first line talks about the fools believing that like this is a way to live. It's foolish.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense to me. It feels crazy. But anyway, I digress.
But great, but the observations are on point, and you hear these discussions a lot.
hmm
So for you to be able to kind of just pack those thoughts into a beautiful poem is amazing,
Yeah.
you know.
So I have one that's sort of related. And some of these poems are quite subjective and some of them are social commentary. It's like a mix, but this one's called Classism. It's pretty on the nose.
Yeah.
Classism is a defunct course of study. The self has a blueprint that creates one mind. The time we spend splintering into multitudes is a circle, spinning so fast we cannot see. All us selves, the same human with the same ideas, the same family, same dreams, same desire to know what is next, where is evermore. They slice us up, live in layers, count us out, divide, calculate the volume remains the same. The insane love fractions. Counting parts is as useless as drawing a line in water. There is no other. Just you, me, us, we am. How foolish is man?
Mm, I love that last line. How foolish
Yeah.
is man? That could be the line for 2020 and the early part of 2021.
Right. Yeah, I just, yeah, but then I thought when you're younger, because I'm still young,
Yes, you are.
when you're younger, you feel like everything is externalized and everything is focused, like we need to change the world, we need to, and then you get to a point and it becomes more about, well, what am I contributing? What can I do? How can I change myself? So, you know, I think that shift, I mean, in most people who have any kind of intelligence, like they arrive at that, so this is my attempt to kind of help guide that process. Um, all right, let me see. What else can I share?
Do you want me to look through it
Yeah,
and pull one?
it's whatever. Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
you feel like.
Um, how about mm,
Mhm.
how about a poem? How about the title poem, A Spell for Living?
Okay. All right. All right. Let me
Yeah.
find. I. All right. Hold on. I'm on my laptop. All right. Let's find it. Oops. Come on. Page 42. Okay. Here we go. Crumple up your birth certificate. Toss it in the trash. Set ablaze dollar bills and fashion a picture from the ash, a doorway that pulls through the dreamer dreaming you, and let spend the day naked in bed. Then storm the church and use the holy water to douse your head. Kick over the lectern, slide between the pews, write the names of all your lovers on Pombogera's shoes. Greet her with champagne that you let drip over your tits, drenching the altar where every shape of you sits atop white lace under candle glow, where she touches them to see through you, the retina of you, to see through the retina of you. Work you like a crochet needle, flood you with whispered words and images that say, waste no more time running this race that you started in your sleep. Fuck responsibility, become a thief. Take back your sight. Flip reality upside down. Life is right behind the curtain that holds you to the ground, seals you in skin, makes circles of your life, repeating repetition, smothering desire. Before you leave this desert, set yourself on fire.
Mm.
Yeah.
Before you leave this desert, set yourself on fire.
Yeah, and I think
Mm.
like you could take that a lot of ways. It could be like destroy your identity or whatever, because we fall into a chapter of a story. You drop into this story and you're assigned a person, a context. Now, there's a reason for that, and we can get all in, we can get all metaphysical or whatever, but you you should analyze the context and see, are you there to improve the circumstances of the people in your lineage? Are you there to, you know, remove yourself from that lineage, right? I often think about, we talk about slavery. I think about the white children on the plantation, like, like what choices are they seeing? Also, I mean, I just think about all children. I always think about children, and
Yeah.
as a parent too, I know just watching developmentally that children, they genuinely don't know what's going on. And I think about how, I think about those lynching photos and people who brought their children to those things. I think about all of these things, and it's like, it is very hard for a person who's indoctrinated, whatever it is, to actually,
Mm.
as an adult, to examine that. Especially, we examine blackness because we're oppressed and nobody wants to be black, right? So we examine it. White people don't. I don't know that there's much examination of whiteness because
Mm.
in most cases it's aligned. I mean, it's generally, I feel confident saying it's generally aligned with power. There are poor white people, yes, but generally, conceptually, as an idea of an identity or whatever, it's aligned with power. So people rarely examine it. Like, what is it? And Toni Morrison said it the best. Like, it's also constructed. Like, you gotta examine, what is that? What is
Yeah.
identity? What what is it, role does it play? What is it doing? You know, even as a woman, like we have an advantage, I think, as women of color, because we are immediately, when you're about 9 or something, you kind of understand like how you're being received in certain spaces, and you're like, wait a minute, they don't like me. You know it. I think every black girl.
It's true. And you know what, Keisha, you bring up a valuable point. I think I've heard people often say, well, defaulting to, oh, it must be race. It kind of does something traumatizing to you. Do we is it doing yourself a disservice by immediately saying they don't like me because I'm Black or because I'm a woman of color?
Well, you see, it's the things that I'm saying that in response to things that people said. You know, I was in mostly white schools, and
Yeah.
things that were said to my brain sounded offensive. Like, you people don't do this. I know your parents don't understand this, but can you please tell them? It was disrespectful. And even as 8 or 9 year old, I knew what disrespect was. I knew that, like, the you people, you know, it was not kind. You know,
Yeah.
it didn't feel welcoming. It felt like you were being tolerated, you know. And I knew when my mother was trying to get me into an elementary school that they blatantly, you know, opposed my entering the school because I was Black. Like, we knew that that was a conversation. I was aware of that.
Mm,
But she was like, you go in here. But I knew that that was like,
sure.
and so it wasn't even hidden, you know. So, what can I say? You know, that's just, so therefore, I think, to me, I don't look at it as a disadvantage. I look at it as an advantage as an artist, because very early, hit the ground running. I came into this life and I started analyzing, and I started seeing from a different perspective, like what was going on, you know, how people were.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a blessing. And I know we don't think of it that way, but whatever things happened to me, even things like if we look at patriarchy and, you know, things that happen to women, even then, even those things that were like violations or like an overreach, helped me to identify a problem. I'm like, oh, this is not right.
Yeah.
Wrong here.
So let me ask you this. Has, people consider Brooklyn and New York City and that area as one of the most progressive in the country and in the world. Most progressive in so many, that, and consider that Black artists. I remember there used to be a joke about, the artists in Fort Greene. Oh, the Black artists in Fort Greene, they're doing it. Spike Lee was there. Rosie Perez lived there for a time.
Mm-hmm.
People even said Wesley Snipes lived in that area before he became really big.
Mm-hmm.
How does being a part of that Brooklyn history in the arts?
Mm-hmm.
I asked you this yesterday,
Yeah.
but I find it very intriguing, and that it almost goes hand in hand with gentrification. As I've talked to one of my playwright director friends who lives in Brooklyn about this,
Mm-hmm.
that the Black artists was also displaced.
Yeah.
I mean, all of these great, wonderful artists, the turn of gentrification, let's say you were not working a full-time job
Oh,
and your art was it. What have you seen and how has that played a part, in your work? Because you're still there, Keisha,
I am.
but there are a lot of people that could no longer maintain
Yes. And you know what?
living.
I'm here because I am a risk averse Jamaican person. And so,
Risk averse.
yeah, our work
Okay.
ethic was like and it's the way I was raised. Like, you need that job, you need the pension, and when you're an immigrant, you know, you're not really willing to take some risks that other people maybe who have like more history here,
Sure.
even if they're at the same socioeconomic level, you're still new in maneuvering in the society. So you're not willing to, because you don't really know all the ins and outs. So you just do, you know, to get that city job, and you're just gonna do the straight, and what you're gonna do, the thing the other immigrant friends who came, they're gonna tell you what they did, and you kind of like,
Okay. And are you saying kind of follow a formula? And this is regardless of whether you're an artist or not,
well, I'm
is
saying,
what you're saying.
me as an immigrant, as a Caribbean immigrant, there is, you know, you come here for work, and there's people who are here and they tell you either, oh, go work for transit or go whatever. So this is how we grew up. It was like, I don't know if they saw all the pathways. There's several things going on, like, maybe not valuing that, seeing the arts as a viable thing.
Mm.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, it's a gamble. So I'm still here because I spent maybe a lot of time that other artists were exploring and being free and touring or whatever. I was
Yeah.
working in a job so I could buy a house, and I have, so that was like my blooming maybe a little late, maybe compared to some of these people, but I think I've just been kind of going at my own pace. But
Sure.
so that's why I'm still here. But I do miss a lot of people who I used to, hang out with, who had to move.
Yeah.
And they were a draw. Like, I wanted to be in this environment with all those great people, and you know but also, the people curating these artistic experiences also were not us, right? Because
Mm.
there's a draw. It's like trends. It's like the people curating, or I've gotten gigs where I was curating shows or whatever, but at the same time, like, the money at the top, like, it was not, they're institutions or wealthy people or whatever who
Sure.
say, this is hot, get 10 of your friends, we're going to do this event. So I mean, it's complex, but people, yeah, the neighborhood has really changed. But on the flip side, in this digital world, it's you can make a lot of connections that aren't local.
It's so true.
So
And someone reminded me, well, with the pandemic, it's not as if you're just hopping from arts venue to arts venue anyway.
hmm
Things are just not as open as they were. So are you truly, if you were an artist who kind of thought, well, I'm not in the center of things, well, in the last year or so, I don't know if you were quite missing out so much. And like you said, there's been more activity virtually, at least that I've seen. I mean, you and I did a wonderful virtual poetry back in May. And let me tell you, people are still
that
complimenting
was fun.
us on that. That was, first off, let me just say, if I can toot my own horn and yours too, as well as Tongo and Curtis,
hmm
ours was one of the first of that on the platform of poetry reading. I'm just putting it out there. And I didn't have any organizational background. I mean, backing. No one sponsored me. I'm not a part of any cliques.
hmm
And we pulled that off. And so I'm very proud of us for that. And it's still up online. And I really think we were, and if I might say it myself as curator, was a leader in that, because no one was really doing it. And what I understand, there were people that were trying to do it. They were having a lot of difficulty.
Yeah.
So I'm very proud that we were able to pull that off and do that for a community of poetry lovers, as well as for ourselves. It's like, okay, instead of complaining and being, down in the dumps, get up and do something.
Oh,
We're artists.
yeah.
I hadn't done a reading in a while, and that was right in the middle of my doctoral work, but I was like, screw it. I'm doing this.
Yes.
I need it. Other people need it. It's a thing. It's a vibe.
Yeah. No, it was very good. I thought it went wonderful, and
It really did. I'm
yeah,
very thankful for that.
yeah,
Yeah.
sure. And yeah, it's like, I think also, though, even without gentrification, the millennials, the Gen Zs, they are non-local. Like, they're digital natives, as we say. And so
Right.
I was coming up, I'm like from the 90s and the early 2000s. It wasn't, you had to be physically in a place to do a show.
Present.
Yeah.
And you had to, they had to see your face.
Yes.
You had to put your name on the list. You had to be in, I get what you're saying. You had to make yourself known.
hmm
And you had to do it several times in a week. And you couldn't go missing for more than a few weeks.
Yeah.
People would say, well, where's so-and-so? I haven't seen you around.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
That's for sure. One time I was so tired. I'm like, I'm doing all these, but I found a rhythm that worked for me, a pace, and so.
Wow.
hmm
So wonderful. And so glad that you kept going, Keisha.
I,
Really. I mean, you got to pat yourself on the back through everything. We talked about this, your career, your family,
mm,
the juggling and the balancing. You got to pat yourself on the back.
yeah, I mean, I have to. I stop sometimes. I'm like, okay, I'm actually doing this, and
Mm.
I'm here to make really, really quality art and to leave something in the world, and hopefully it makes an impact when I do it while I'm alive. That's it.
And you are truly. And so, how about another poem?
Oh,
How about, two more
all right.
before we, kind of close out?
So let me see. Any requests?
Yeah, I'm going to go through it because I have this on my laptop now. I love to hear. Oh, here's one. This is music of the spheres,
Okay.
and looks like my page 53.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
Go there.
yeah.
Laptop.
And for anyone joining, thank you all for being here. Appreciate it. I just put a post on Facebook just to tag some folks. That Keisha-Gaye Anderson, award-winning poet, media professional, author, visual artist, is here reading poems from her wonderful collection, A Spell for Living. And you can go to her website at keishagaye.inc to view and download her book and read more about her work.
All right. Thank you. All right. Music of the Spheres. Do you know about the Music of the Spheres?
No, I don't.
It's
I'm
the concept that the celest, and I forget whose idea, and this is my poem, but that celestial bodies create music by their movement in the heavens. And actually, NASA has these recordings where they convert the electromagnetic waves of each of the planets into sound, and it
mm,
sounds like music, and it's just amazing. So like Mars sounds crazy, like it sounds angry, like you're so
mm.
Earth's music sounds like jazz or something. It sounds so cool. And when
Whoa.
you go, I gotta send you the link later. When you go over to Uranus, it sounds like something like from like what you think alien, what that the sound effects they use for aliens in the movies.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like isn't it funny that the things we associate with these planets, when they convert the electromagnetic waves to sound, it makes music, and it sounds like what we think the characteristic of the planet is. Because word
Mm.
Marshall comes from Mars, and this always, we all know this comes from astronomy and the qualities associated with the planets. But that was where I got the title from. So let me read you the poem. All right. The point is just to sing together. Universe, one song, simple notes that stitch you seamlessly into the finest temple. Bars humming your question through the light of your eyes. Percussion pulsating stars into sky, also keeping time in your chest. And all there is to do is to step to that song. Be a ripple in the wave that must wash the earth. Dissolve the circle of birth, death, forgetfulness that swirls around you, and rest yourself in the center. Yet, here we are again, searching for the magic words that dawn after dreaming in the melody all night. The time is always perfect, is just for play and dancing together to remember what we already know. Breathe in tune to the music of the spheres and slip yourselves out of these bones. Exhale with mommy. Come home.
Oh, I love that. And so, did you read an article or read about this and then you decided to write the poem, or is this something you've been following for a while?
I have been, so what you may not know about me is I'm a big science nerd, and I
No, I didn't know that. I love that, Keisha.
love all science fiction. Like, so poetry is my first love, yes. But when I read prose, I like speculative fiction. I like ghost stories,
Mm,
and I like time travel. And that is like the majority of the films that I consume are like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like I love,
mm-hmm.
right?
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. I'll tag you on there's an Afro future. It might be this weekend. I was tagging some people on an Afro futurism conference going on at Florida State University in virtual conference this weekend.
Mm. Oh,
Now I know when I see those kind of things, I'll tag
for
you
sure.
because I know you're into it.
Yeah, I told
And do you also follow Neil deGrasse?
yeah.
Uh, okay.
I taught an Afrofuturism course at Brooklyn College a couple of years ago, and it was full.
Wow.
And we read like just there's so many authors I love. But so these are things I meditate on. Like I like astronomy. I like I
Hmm.
like things to do with like the solar system. Like I'm very interested in the planets and constellations, and it's just things that I daydream about, I think about, and I think about them also as a metaphor for what, like how we are connected to everything as we know. And this is not like deep scientific knowledge, but everything has frequency and vibration. And like, I like to think of that as music. Like if you listen to birds, I mean, I know someone did a study where they slowed down bird song and it had like a form, it wasn't random. It's like music, like they're singing a song. And they all have different songs, but they have it's a pattern that's repeated. You can identify it. So I that is so interesting to me that animals, even like dolphins and whales, they have their own music.
Yeah.
And the point I think when I was writing this was that we're so out of sync with our rhythms. And that's why we're always in conflict with each other. We're not, we're always searching outside of ourselves for like the harmony. And if
Hmm.
we have to get into ourselves because, as a friend was talking to yesterday, and it's like we know this, but sometimes when you say it, it kind of blows your mind. You don't have to do anything for your body to work. It just works. It just, you don't have to think about breathing. You don't have to think about digestion. You inhabit like a solar system, like everything's working. You don't have to do anything. So what about us observing that? Like, what would that teach us? Like, how could we, and then how would that connect us to other people? Because we always think we're so different. Why can't some people like see that? And that's something I think about a lot, and it drives a lot of my thought experiments. Like, what is the problem? Like, and I just like to think that some people are a little sick, or they're damaged, or something happened, they're traumatized, whatever it is. So that's
So let me ask you this. If you were not a poet with a journalistic background as you are, would you have been some kind of scientist?
well, I'm so bad at math. So I think that the kind of visual art I like is mathematical in a way. Like I like mandalas. I like
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
that's the kind of
Hmm.
art I like. I like finding the geometry in nature,
Yeah.
playing around with that and abstracting it. So the math part, like the actual math, I sucked at math. So I think I love science, I love nature. I think that's what it is. I like nature. So
Physical science. Would
yeah,
you be great with physical science?
maybe. I mean,
Sure.
who knows? But like, if anything, maybe psychology or something.
Hmm.
Probably would have been. I'm interested in like people's perception, because you think everybody sees
Sure.
the same as you, and we literally don't see the same things. It's
When were you born, Keisha? What's your month?
oh, I'm April 19th.
Or is that
That's Aries.
Taurus or Aries?
Aries, yeah.
Oh, that's Aries. Okay, so you're fire.
Yeah.
Like me,
Hey,
I'm a Leo.
all right. See, I knew it. I like my friends. That's like all Leo. I'm always friends with a Leo.
Aries and Leos get along very well.
Yes,
Every Aries I've known, I get along with them very well. Yeah.
definitely. Yeah.
Because we need people that are kind of on our energy. We don't deal in pettiness and things that are like, oh, she did this, all that
Yeah,
kind of. It's like, just be straight with me. I'm gonna be straight with you. Be straight with
exactly.
me, and we'll be cool. Be who you really are, and I'm gonna show you who I really am.
Exactly.
And I think that's how Leos and Aries are. We have a hard time dealing with people that are doing some other stuff,
Yeah.
or people who really are not strong in who they are, don't
Yeah.
know what they're, or they have hidden like agendas and stuff. Like I'm not very good with
Oh no.
deciphering hidden meanings of people and behaviors.
Yeah.
I get
Funny.
I just go, this is confusing, I can't deal by. It needs to be right on, it needs to be like very clear, and be straight with me and I'll be straight with you. That's how I am.
That's how I am too. But I've grown in patience because I realized that's my thing. My realization was I was very blunt, and I would say exactly what I felt and like completely honest. And my mom is like that too. She's like, we just, and
Wow.
realize, you know what? People are hearing this not maybe how I want them to because they're not confident. And so like I hurt their feelings, but I didn't mean,
Yeah.
like, it's so funny. I had when I was in college, I had a friend come over and my mom is just like, she's like, oh man, you gained a lot of weight. And I was like, you can't say that. And she's like, why is she offended? That's how we talk to each other. Like, doesn't she know that?
I grew up, my grandmother used to say that all the time. You couldn't gain weight or cut your hair or something. She would call you out, and it is what it is. And she was an Aquarius.
Oh yeah.
I can't think of
My mom.
what, but we got along very well. But she was a straight shooter. She said whatever she thought, and it was what it was. And hopefully you didn't get your feelings hurt.
Yes. And my mom, mom's a Sag, so they don't have any filter. And it would just be like, doesn't she know she's big? I mean, I thought she knew she was big. But that doesn't mean
I'm just
that,
calling out the facts.
that doesn't mean,
Yeah.
no, but like, so the straight shooter, yes. And I think that's the thing about life. People who are not so straightforward, their lesson is like, they got to say what they want because people can't read your mind. And ain't nobody gonna.
Oh my God, I say that. And I'll be like, well, I'm no mind reader.
I,
I have a relative that says to me, "You're a man. You're a man in a woman's body, DuEwa." I don't know what that means. They've been saying this.
Unfortunately, right? Unfortunately, because of patriarchy, assertiveness is associated with men. But when women do, it's like we're disagreeable. It's like whatever.
Yeah.
Even the language.
Yeah.
Language is colonized, right? So there's a word. There are a lot of old timey English words that are still used by a lot of Jamaicans because in a lot of ways, our patois is frozen in 19th century English, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So like the word virago is in the dictionary, but I don't think many Americans use that word. But when they say someone's a virago, it's like a loud, disagreeable person. But in the dictionary, right? It's a
Mm-hmm.
loud, disagreeable woman. It's gendered.
Oh,
Like
wow.
the male virago. There's no word.
Hello, there's plenty of them.
Right.
Hello, Fred Sanford was one. You remember
Okay.
Fred Sanford?
Yes.
And so was George Jefferson.
Yeah, exactly. But I found it interesting that word was specifically about a loud, like argumentative, disagreeable woman.
Woman,
And
right.
so interesting.
So sexist.
I'm telling you.
Yes. Well, Keisha, can we get one last beautiful poem with you before we close out? And thank you again for joining me here on IG Live on Nerdacity Podcast. And also thank you for anyone joining us and seeing Keisha read from her wonderful collection, A Spell from Living, A Spell for Living, excuse me. I have posted Keisha's website for people to visit and download her book and see more about her writing as well as her visual art.
All right. Thank you. Well, in the spirit of assertive womanhood, I'm going to read this poem. It's called Tell Them, okay? Tell them I was a big woman, tall and unyielding, who lived out loud, unmoved in front of the blurry chaos of the city. Tell them I was the eye, whipping the wind around me as I walked through the places of learned insanity. Tell them I was every deluge that ever stopped traffic, laughing as they spun their wheels. Tell them I was the red clay that demanded intelligent seeds to grow nourishing questions and fruitful answers. Tell them I was as kinky and cloistered as my curls, and only deep water freedivers could reach my door. Tell them I was all that and much more they couldn't see. Tell them they could never really know me.
Ooh, I think this was my favorite one of the day, Keisha.
Yes.
Tell them.
Yes.
Okay, because they don't know who they're dealing with.
Yes, I'm going to take my oblique. I'm feeling good. So, cheese.
I love that. Well, this was absolutely wonderful. And I need to shout out Christine Firestarter Gilliam, who is a wonderful poet who hails from New York. I met Christine years ago on the poetry scene, and she has stayed doing her thing as well as making beautiful cakes. And she's fire on IG. I just want to shout her out because she's a poet who's here supporting another poet and joining us.
Oh,
Thank you so much.
all right.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Melanie's here. Hey, Melanie. Yes.
Keisha, thank you so much. I really enjoyed talking with you yesterday. Your spirit is beautiful.
Oh,
As always, I will continue to follow you and support everything you're doing. Feel free to tag me on anything,
absolutely.
things that you may have coming up. If you'd like me to periodically share it, I will certainly do so, because you're in the Nerdacity podcast family now. And, you know, hopefully we'll continue to stay in network, and this interview will be shared, and we'll continue to link up and network, hopefully through 2021.
Thank you so much. It was so great to talk to you. Definitely. We'll do it again. Yeah.
Of course, we certainly will. Let's circle back around later in the spring. You got something going on, or maybe we can, if I can figure out, I got some things I need to finish too, but
well,
maybe we can.
At the end, I'm so excited about this. My alma mater, Syracuse, is giving me an award at the end of the month.
You're kidding me.
Yes, it's Poetic Icon Award. I was like,
in February?
Yeah, February 26th.
Oh, that's wonderful. So, please do post that, Keisha. That's why, and I'll certainly share it. Congratulations, and you deserve it. It's like, yes, all of that. We're here for it. 2021, we're being positive and putting it in existence, everything that we want. And you're certainly a model for that. And so just want to thank you again, and best wishes. And Faya says, kudos, queen.
Hey.
If you can see her comment, best wishes and continued success with your writing.
Thank you.
And I'll be continuing to be inspired with everything you're doing.
All right. Thank you. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, Keisha. Have a good evening.
All right.
Afternoon.
All right. Bye-bye.
And I was just talking with award-winning poet Keisha-Gaye Anderson here on IG Live, Nerdacity Podcast. Please follow the podcast here on IG, and also follow on Twitter at Nerdacity Pod 1. Also subscribe to my YouTube channel at youtube.com/DuEwa World, where there will be featured videos of the podcast and interviews like this with amazing writers, poets, and authors. Thank you so much. You can also join me in following my author artist Instagram at DuEwa Writes. And I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your Saturday afternoon, and be blessed.